Hi, I'm Rob Patz.
And I'm Kristen Stanton.
And you have found The Rob and Kristen Show. I just love that new opening, and my wife turned to me when I did the open part ahead of this. I thought, I'm going to try something different.
I was like, that's not what we normally
I know.
say.
I'm like shaking it up a little. You know, variety, they say, is the spice of life. So here we are. Welcome to the Rob and Kristen Show, episode 2 of season 2. So we're 2 and 2 if you're a Chuck Woolery fan.
Wasn't it like 2 and 2?
He went
or
2 and 2. We'll be back in 2 and 2. All those people that are under our age are right now Googling Chuck Woolery, going,
Woolery?
Woolery? Woolery? Whatever his name was. Oh, hey, I want to thank the great folks at My Pillow. You know what? It is a perfect time of year to buy pillows, sheets, some slippers. I would love some slippers.
Is that on your Christmas list?
No, I want it before Christmas. But all that great stuff, the folks at MyPillow, go to mypillow.com, use the promo code ATV. It's that easy, and you help us and you help out the great folks at MyPillow. Mike Lindell, he does a fantastic job. Mm-hmm. So, you know what? This has been a great week. We had some fantastic feedback about the whole set. People loved to be able to see us completely instead of just boxes. I had thought about, as a funny thing, but I didn't have time, is to go to like one of the like dollar places and getting a box, like one of those a frame thing, and hold it around me. So because there are probably people that don't know what I look like without a box around me. So I had thought about doing that. I just didn't get time because you know what? I was busy with something that you should know, everyone should know. It's the top 5 things we think you should know here on the Rob and Kristen Show. And you know what? I get to start this off. And I got to tell you something before we get started. I love when we find news stories that I can relate to. Okay?
This should be interesting.
I can relate to this news story because I had a Rubik's Cube.
I did too. Well, no, mine was not a real Rubik's Cube, but I did have one. My brother Doug had a real Rubik's Cube.
So you had a knockoff Rubik's Cube?
I think mine had like...
Was yours the sides one where it had like the octagon one?
I think it had like shapes or something on it. I don't know. It was different. I think I got a different one just so that it wouldn't get confused with my brother's.
Smart idea. I took mine apart.
Of course you did.
Because there was no way, if you know me, you realize that like about 10 minutes into the first time I played with it, I was like, forget this. This is not happening. And so and of course, this is before going online and learning how to do it. I took a screwdriver to it and went, popped it like that and got all the pieces out. And then I reassembled it, which of course made it a lot looser. And then people knew, you know, if you took it to school, they knew you were.
You cheated.
Yeah, well, I did. But our stories, first story, 14-year-old from Australia. So hello to all of our friends in Australia who watch us on the Faith Network down there. Hello, thank you so much. So we started off with you this week. Somebody is 14-year-old. And now I did not know this. They have like competitions. Rubik's
I didn't
Cube.
know that either.
I didn't know it was still a thing. It's just wild. Anyway, but not only did he solve this Rubik's Cube in 12.1 seconds, guess what?
What?
He did it blindfolded.
That's crazy.
It took me a week to try to figure it out, and then I had to get a screwdriver. So I don't know how he did it blindfolded, but I'm impressed.
Did you know he also won that competition?
I would think so. First place, you're blindfolded. That is wild, though.
Great job to this 14-year-old.
14-year-old, big shout out. Congratulations, by the way. I assume if I dug through my stuff, I still have my Rubik's Cube. Maybe you could fix it because I think it got messed up. Oh, but it's crazy. A lot of things in life that go together. Rubik's Cube makes me think of when I was young and my youth, and I was even before my youth. I was just young. And other things like this time of year, like pumpkins and stuff like that. I love this time of year. I love fall in the first place. And my mom used to let me carve pumpkins. Now, if she was like your mom, she didn't give me like the real good knife. So I had like a butter knife. I was carving with a butter. There was nothing good going to come out of this.
I don't remember what kind of knives we used, but I used to love to carve the pumpkins, and we would make little faces in them or little designs in them, and we'd scoop out the seeds that were in the middle, and we would give them to my mom, and she would roast the pumpkin seeds, and then we would eat the pumpkin seeds. Well, there was this guy in Missouri that grew his own pumpkin. This was not any kind of ordinary pumpkin, though. This pumpkin was 1,208 pounds. And he carved it all right, but he carved it into a boat. And then he got himself into this pumpkin boat, and he paddled down the Missouri River 38.4 miles.
I'd have put a motor on it. Why are you paddling? If you're smart enough to, first place, grow that big a pumpkin, second place, carve it into a boat, why didn't you think about a motor? Come on, man.
I think it's because he was going after a world record, and he probably had to paddle it because then we knew that it wouldn't sink, leak, whatever. So 38.4 miles in a 1,208-pound homegrown pumpkin.
Can you imagine being on the water as he's rowing and you're like tooling by in your pontoon and you see a guy in a pumpkin? No. You're probably thinking of,
interesting.
Been one of those days. You know what? I hate road construction.
So do I.
And we live near Michigan, which I truly believe those people in Michigan never want to finish the road construction between our home and the airport. I believe that the state of Michigan has found that this is like a perpetual industry for them. That just the one road. But I maybe though, and I thought of this, maybe they found something there, and that's why. Because story number 3, a road construction crew in Florida was digging. They were doing some excavating of the land, and they found a boat.
What kind of boat?
Not a pumpkin boat. I was just going to tell you that right off the bat, the pumpkin would have been rotten. I guess, you think about the pumpkin boat, I guess it's only good for a season.
Right.
Because, I don't know. Anyway, this boat, they found this boat, and it's really interesting. It's well preserved. 19th century boat, and it's 20 feet long. So it's not just a small boat, and it was buried. I think the best part for me is when I read the story, or actually you read it to me, if we want to get technical, because I knew there were people out there immediately going, Rob doesn't read. So that's obviously in the script. But when you read the story to me, it was interesting. Not only did they find the boat, they found like fragments of other things like shoes and stuff like that, but they found ribs. And the expert speculates that the guy just tossed his food over the edge.
And they thought maybe it might have been chops of some kind?
Yes.
Lamb chops, pork chops, who knows? It is interesting. But can you imagine? So I know where they found this in the general vicinity because it was in St. Augustine. And we were there on a family vacation a couple of years ago.
This is before me. I did not get to go to St. Augustine.
And we were there, and we were in this downtown area. So when I was reading it, I said, I know where that's at. And they were just doing this project, and they came on some wood. And at the time they came upon this wood, they then discovered it was attached to this boat.
How crazy is that? Isn't that a cool story? I love those kinds of things, though. I just, I love the ingenuity of things like that.
Yeah.
I love things when there's smart actions involved.
Smart actions. What is a smart action?
Smart action is like our next story. Story number 4. Hit it.
So this lady, I don't know where she was, but she got a notification on her phone. And, you know, I didn't know that you could get notifications on your phone, like that your refrigerator door was open, but she got a notification on her phone that her refrigerator door was open. So she checked her Ring camera footage, and as she's checking her footage, she notices somebody broke into the house. Now, this was not just a somebody, but of course, it was a bear.
It's the bear of the week. We need a graphic. The bear of the week story.
The bear of the week. No, this bear, he broke in. I don't know how he got into the house, but he broke into the house. And the next thing is we see, and I watched the video of this. She had it on Facebook. And you see this footage of this bear just leisurely walking into the kitchen, going to the refrigerator, and it was one of those refrigerators that has the freezer drawers on the bottom. He pulls open the freezer drawer, sticks his head down in the freezer.
Now wait, I've got a name for the bear.
Okay.
Anthony.
Anthony.
Now explain the rest of the story. Anthony the bear.
Okay.
You'll know
Anthony
why
the
in a
bear.
second.
So he stuck his head into the freezer and he came out with his bag in his mouth. The homeowner said that it was frozen lasagna.
Anthony, you know what I'm talking about. Forget about it. I'm taking your lasagna.
Of course. And then the next thing you see is the bear uses the freezer to step up
See?
on.
He's pretty smart.
Definitely smart. He steps up on the freezer and goes out the window. And then we see him going down the little deck and then out into the woods. Interesting. But that was in Connecticut.
Anthony the bear.
Maybe we should go to Connecticut.
Anthony. Yeah, I think I would love that. I would love that. Or there's other places. I mean, I want to go to Savannah again.
That would be neat.
I love that. I love Savannah.
What about Seattle? You've been telling me
Yes,
that we need to go
we
visit
do.
Seattle. I mean, there's all kinds of neat things in Seattle.
You got coffee.
There's the Space Needle.
You got coffee.
The Space Needle.
You got coffee. There's always good coffee. And not just Starbucks. Don't come for me, though, on that if that's not your thing. But there's all kinds of good stuff. Mount Rainier.
The fish market.
The fish, yeah. But if we went to Seattle, we would have to go see the lady in this next story.
Okay.
And see, I've known about her for a while because local newspapers have run stories on her before. But the Seattle woman that has over 5,631 rubber ducks.
Wow.
That is a lot of rubber ducks.
That is a lot.
Do you remember like Sesame Street and wasn't the song Rubber Ducky, you're the one?
I
think we're going to
no
get
idea.
copyright on that if I do that too much longer. And you're thankful for that, I'm sure. But yeah, she has 5,631. Now, the idea originally was just she was going to collect a few. And now she has people everywhere. And I love what you said earlier. They are duck hunters.
Duck hunters.
Get
all
it?
over the world.
Rubber duck hunter. Oh my. It's a cool story though. And it was just, I mean, she started off just getting a few, got it for her bathroom actually. And it turned into that.
Something that she would have never anticipated.
You know what we've done? We'll never get to 5,000, so however many there she had there. But we've collected mugs, by the way. This one from the great state of Maine, and we got another one from Florida. Or no, Smoky Mountains.
No.
No, where's that one from?
Traverse City, Michigan.
It was from somewhere. I knew it was. Just couldn't
Just
remember.
keep guessing.
I was gonna Dallas. No, that's not. Oh, but you know what? We collect mugs from where we go, including places that I forget about. But we've got a video package, that we're going to run now about our vacation. So hit the video package. Hey guys, we are in Houston, Texas at the Houston Space Center. It is going to be incredible.
Before that humble oil company, now known as ExxonMobil, on the land and uses mostly farmland.
Hey, you're here with us on our vacation as we're in Galveston, Texas. This is called the Bishop's House. Started construction in 1887 to 1892. A little over $250,000 at the time to build this incredible home. And we're gonna take you on a little tour.
I love the chandeliers.
You know what time it is. It's coffee time.
This is my kind of place. A confectionery, ice cream, everything that I could ever want in one place.
If you get a chance, come to the Sunflower Cafe in Galveston, Texas.
Another really neat thing about the Sunflower Cafe is the bakery that they have. Look how big it is. So there you have it from the expert herself, my niece Sophia.
Not Rob or Kristen, as you can tell. But these are the historic high waters of Galveston, Texas here by the tall ship. We have September 8th, 1900, September 13th, 2008, August 16th, 1915, September 14th, 1919, and September 11th, 1961.
Tall ship Alyssa, here in Galveston, Texas. Obviously this was the kitchen, or the galley.
Most of these trips were 2 months long. Can you imagine how it smelled down here? I don't think they had Old Spice. This is a fantastic tall ship. If you love boats and if you love history, this is a must-see while you're in Galveston. Hey guys, you know what? We've been kind of chronicling our vacation, taking you with us. We are at the Galveston Railroad Museum here in Galveston, Texas. And of course, kept switchers from being tampered with so that the trains were safe. My dad, when we moved from Minnesota to Seattle, one of my gifts was a lock that looks just like that. And that was my welcome gift when we moved to Washington. Hey, isn't this cool? Kristen found this for me. She wants me to work out more. So this is a true. She does.
Shelling for some shells on Galveston Beach. Hopefully you find some good shells.
This is going to be a lot of fun. Wow, from that video, you can tell I was hot.
It was hot in Texas
It was hot in Houston.
and Galveston.
Oh, it was 100 when we got there. The first part where we were at NASA,
It was,
and a
so
lot of that's
hot.
outside.
well, and we had come right from the airport.
Yes.
So it was just it was a little bit of shock.
I want to go someplace ice cold next year for our family vacation. Hey, a special shout out to Sophia Stanton, who was our guest reporter. You may have seen her during that video package. Sophia did a great job, and I'm sure we're going to see her in future episodes.
She did awesome.
She did. Hey, I love last week. I know the title for this week, but I'm excited for the content. It's From Empty to Overflowing.
Last week we talked about the empty vessels, and so we're going back into 2 Kings chapter 4 again this week because I wanted to talk more about that story. And I was thinking about what do I name this? And last week we called it empty vessels, and so I was thinking about the story and thought I want to call it From Empty to Overflow. Because at the beginning of this story, we see this widow woman, and she said, my husband, your servant, she's talking to Elisha, has died, and they're going to come and they are going to take my sons as bondservants. And so this was a very serious thing. And she asked Elisha for his help, essentially. And he said, what do you want me to do for you? What can I do for you? And without waiting for her to respond, at least from the story we read in Scripture, he says, what do you have in the house? And she said, I don't have anything except. And I was thinking, sometimes we look at our situation and we think that we cannot do anything. This is it. I can't do anything else. I can't go any further. I can't overcome this obstacle. I don't have a solution for this problem, period. And instead of looking at it and saying, I have a problem, except I have a God who is bigger than the problem. And I think sometimes that's where we get into our mess, is because, or why we stay in our mess sometimes, is because we forget that God is in the accept. He has given us everything that we need already to solve the problem. And in this particular situation, she said, I don't have anything except some oil. And so Elisha told her, well, go to your neighbors and borrow some vessels, even empty vessels. And we were talking about this last week, about the importance of empty vessels, the importance of empty things. She could have thought, well, why would I want to borrow empty vessels? What good is an empty vessel going to do me? And I think sometimes we think that empty person that has nothing going on, what good are they going to do me?
Yep.
When in fact, we should be thinking about the fact that there are people all around us that are hurting. There are people all around us that need what we have. Draw them in, bring them in, shut them in with you and your house, and allow God to pour into them what you have. And as long as you continue to be open, God will continue to pour into you, and then the overflow will continue to pour into other people. In this particular story, the prophet told her to go borrow vessels, and borrow not a few. This was a point of faith. She had to believe that the prophet had a plan, even though it doesn't appear that he told her why she was going to borrow vessels. So here's this woman going and, hey, excuse me, do you have any vessels? It doesn't have to have anything in it. Just give me whatever you have and go away. We talked about this last week. I don't have anything. Why are you bothering me? And then some of them, they probably said, yeah, I got something. Here you go. And then followed her to her house, probably wanted to know what she was up to. And the Bible specifically says that Elisha told her, when you are done collecting these vessels, shut the door on you and your sons. And then she had to start the next step of faith, taking the vessel and pouring the oil into this empty vessel. And we talked about last week about how it made no sense to the human mind of why you would transfer oil from one vessel to another.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
But she continued to transfer. And as long as she had those vessels and continued to pour into those vessels, the oil continued. But when she ran out, that was when it stopped. Now, the reason that we talk about from empty to overflow is because God had a plan in all of this. And God's plan was for her to walk in faith and to initiate her miracle through her faith. And then when she had these vessels and they were full, Elisha told her, now go and sell the oil. Now this is what I love, because he could have said, go and sell the oil, and it could have been just enough to cover her debt. But it wasn't just enough. It was more than enough. It was an overflow. So not only was there this overflow into her own life, there was an overflow into her children. And this was something that then she could live off for the rest of her life.
That's the coolest part, for the rest of her life. So expect the overflow.
Expect the overflow.
I love that. Hey, listen, we appreciate you. If you go to mypillow.com, use the promo code ATV. And Kristen and I want you to go out and live an abundant life.